all. Welcome back, or welcome if this is the first time you've been here. What I'm going to do for the next string of shows, assuming you're watching this in order, and I mean, why wouldn't you? But I'm going to do my favorite 20 albums, and of course, you know, it's hard to whittle it down to these 20, and 2 weeks from now or 2 months from now, half of this could change, but I think I'm pretty, satisfied with the 20 I picked. You know, there's definitely a couple. Maybe in the last episode, I'll give a couple of little honorable mentions of stuff that I, almost made it or whatever. But so we're gonna just do. I'm gonna talk about 5 new top 20. I'm gonna do 4 episodes of this, so we'll do 5 each episode. So here we go. From 1997, we get the Muffs, the mighty mighty Muffs, and Happy Birthday to Me. This was, I guess, their 3rd album. They put out a few singles before their first album, and I'd heard a couple of songs before this album came out. I'd heard the song Everywhere I Go, of course. But I wasn't that familiar with the band, and it wasn't until this album came out and I heard Outer Space that it really clicked for me. And I heard Outer Space on the radio and just instantly loved it. And when I realized who it was the Muffs, then I suddenly became like I had to pick up everything I could for the band. I started picking up their CDs that they had already put out. But so this one, because this is the album that was out that I heard that made me a fan, certainly has a sentimental kind of thing to it for me. But it's, other than that, it's still an awesome album. Crush Me, That Awful Man, Honeymoon, My Crazy Afternoon, like I mentioned, Outer Space, I'm a Dick, Keep Holding Me, I love that. The last 2 tracks, Keep Holding Me and Best Time Around, great way to end this record. This is the original vinyl that came out in whenever, the 90s or maybe the early 2000s, but they've reissued this on vinyl, and I think all that reissued vinyl that they put out are all out of print again, and they're kind of hard to find or expensive. But if they ever become available again, and since Kim unfortunately passed away way too young and from such a horrible disease, Ronnie, the bass player, he's mentioned some things on like Facebook or whatever, social media. They kind of hinted at, he's trying to get at least some of these records reissued again on vinyl. So hopefully that'll happen. But if you're not familiar with the Muffs, I highly recommend you give them a listen, and this would certainly be a great place to start. None of these are in order. This isn't like my number 1 favorite. I'm not putting any of these in order. This is just my favorite, one of my favorite records. But I easily could have put a couple of their other records instead of this one. But like I said, this one, it's an awesome record, but it's also got that kind of like sentimental spin on it too, because it was like, this was the album that made me like a huge fan. 1988, we get Red Hot Chili Peppers' Mother's Milk. I remember getting this album I got the CD, I think in 89 through like one of those record clubs through the mail. I'd heard maybe Knock Me Down, and I really liked it, so I decided to pick it up, not knowing what the rest of the album sounded like, but I was pleasantly surprised. This is my favorite album by them by far. Obviously, it's in my top 20 favorite albums, right? But I really like this album, and when I got my record player, this was one of the first records I picked up. It's a record that I never really grew tired of. For me, I don't think a lot of fans hold this one up that high. I think a lot of people like it, but they don't hold it up that high. I think the band, maybe there were like liner notes in the reissued CD that I think they weren't too thrilled with the production of it, but I love this album. It's the first one with John Frusciante and Chad Smith when they joined the band, and for me, this is the peak for this band. I mean, they put out some other good stuff afterwards, but I always thought like this was the best album that they put out. Some of the tunes, we got Taste the Pain, Johnny Kick a Hole in the Sky, and of course we got the Good Time Boys, Higher Ground, Subway to Venus, Magic Johnson, Nobody Weird Like Me, and Knock Me Down, the aforementioned Knock Me Down. But really good album, and it's dedicated to Hillel Slovak, who passed away before this record came out. I never got sick of it. It still sounds kind of as fresh to me as the day I got it. 1986 brings us the soundtrack to Club Paradise with Jimmy Cliff and Elvis Costello and Well Pleased and Satisfied, Mighty Sparrow, Blue Rhythm Band. A lot of good reggae tunes on here. The song he does, 7 Day Weekend, with Elvis Costello is kind of a really cool, kind of a punk, new wave-ish kind of tune, but there's a lot of good reggae on this. I worked in a movie theater, and we had this movie, and I wasn't crazy about the movie when it first came out, but it's grown on me over the years. I really like it. Harold Ramis, the late, great Harold Ramis, directed this movie. The late, great Robin Williams starred in it, as well as Jimmy Cliff. Just some really good stuff on here, and I think it gets overlooked because obviously, in his catalog, The Harder They Come is just, the pinnacle, but there's a lot of good tunes on here. But I always like this record a whole lot. I still love listening to it. One of my favorite reggae tunes, and I think, like I said, it kind of gets overlooked, and it's in the shadow of a lot of other stuff by Jimmy Cliff, but people forget it, but it's a good one. There's Hat. He wears a giant hat. Club Paradise soundtrack. From 1990, we get the Untouchables, Decade of Dance, live. This is a live record they recorded at the Roxy, the fabulous Roxy in Hollywood. My brother was a big fan of this band, and I would hear him play them a lot, and I got to see them live with my brother and my cousin back in the late 90s down, I don't know, somewhere around San Diego. And just they put on just such an awesome show, and I literally went home like that weekend back to where I was living in Los Angeles, and I went out and picked up this CD immediately, and it's probably my favorite live record that I own. It's awesome. I wish I could get this on vinyl, but CD will do. It still sounds awesome. But so many great tunes, and it's just a really killer set. I mean, it's like, a best of for them. I Spy, Johnny Shamalama, Age 00 Soul, Let's Get Together, What's Gone Wrong, Wild Child, Free Yourself, The General, I'm Not Your Stepping Stone. Just some awesome tunes, man. And they're still kind of kicking around, and I think maybe there's just one dude. I think the only dude left is Jerry Miller, the lead singer. He's the only one left. They got a bunch of other guys, but it's still put on a good show. If you get the chance to see them live, whenever we get to see live shows again, they played a gig or two on online since the pandemic had started. When I watched one, I think it was from Vegas. They were in a club. I think there was nobody in the club, just them performing, and they just streamed the live concert. But it was really good. 2006, Yeahs, Show Your Bones. This album is my favorite by them. I got to see them live on this tour. I was familiar with them already. I mean, Maps kind of was all over MTV when it came out. And I remember hearing that record and thought it was okay. It didn't really do anything major for me, but then when this came out, I picked it up. I loved Gold Lion. I remember hearing that and really liked it, and then I went out and picked up Fever to Tell because it was really cheap. I bought the CD, and the Fever to Tell CD was on sale as well, so I picked that up, and then I became a really fan. I mean, this is definitely one of my favorite bands of all time. I've seen them live a ton of times. Just the lineup of tracks is just, uncomparable. Gold Line, Way Out, Phenomena, Honey Bears, Cheated Hearts, Dudley, Turn Into. Just a ton of great tunes. Just a really good band. I mean, I think a lot of the attention, Karen O gets the lion's share, no pun intended, of the attention for this band, but Nick Zinner and Brian Chase are just about as good as you can get on their respective instruments. But if you don't have this, or if you kind of, haven't listened to it in a long time, I'd highly recommend giving it another listen. And I think you'd be pleasantly surprised how well this album holds up. And it's really just an awesome rock record. Yeah, show your bones. So that's it. Those are the 5 this time. Like I said, I'm not putting these in any kind of order, just kind of like, here they are. Here's 20 of my favorite albums. And so I'm going to do 3 more of these, and I hope you enjoy watching these. I hope you leave a comment, let me know what you think of some of these, or by all means, throw in what some of your records that you really love are, or maybe different ones by these same bands that you think are better. That would be pretty cool, right? Yeah, but anyways, like, subscribe, all that nonsense, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.